Hello, we're live again. It's weird to do two lives in one day for me. We're going to have Arianna joining in a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk through some of these challenges. Oh, hey, there she is. We're pretty new at this whole having two people live at the same time situation, so bear with us as we get started. And here we go. Hey, Mary. Hi, Arianna.
Hey, sorry, it's still loading on my end, so I'm not sure if you can see me or hold on.
I see something. Yeah. There you are. You're moving.
There
How's
you
it
go.
going?
It is going good. How are you? Actually,
Good.
I didn't notice the lighting until we got on this live. So let me try and even. There you go. It's better.
Yeah, it looks good. Great. So I'm excited to talk through some of these tips that you gave me the other day and see what you think of these other challenges people have shared with me since we
Okay.
last talked.
Okay.
But yeah, why don't you run us through those first few tips that you have for
Okay.
starting a fitness routine?
Yes. Okay. So as far as starting a fitness routine, um, I know. Well, hold on. I have to be careful because sometimes I'll go really, really long.
That's okay.
I can go all the way around. My fiance's always like, "Okay, but you didn't answer my question though." So I was going to get there. But all right, so my first tip is to be realistic with your schedule, be realistic with your goals. Don't go into it saying, like, okay, so I'm going to work out twice a day for 45 minutes a day, da 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 da. Like it's not super realistic. And when you plan something that's not super realistic, you end up falling off faster than you ever really assumed that you would or ever desired that you would. So my thing would always be to just start off realistic, maybe saying, okay, I'm going to, even starting smaller than what you plan on is actually really encouraging. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Myself, every now and then I fall off for sure, even though people are like, you must practice yoga every day. I absolutely do not practice yoga every single. I mean, some people can, that's awesome. For me, it just wouldn't be realistic. And for me to set that goal for myself, regardless of this even being my whole business, it just wouldn't be realistic for me. So if I ever do kind of like fall off or fall by the wayside, go on vacation and come back and feel like, I just say I'm going to start 10 minutes of yoga. And maybe
Yeah.
minutes of that is going to be meditation where I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
still. So yeah, just starting something really small, because when you conquer those small things, you get so encouraged to say, well, you know what? 10 minutes, I can do 15 today. And then you're so proud of yourself for 15. And then you look up and it's like, we've been here for an hour. I'm still going.
Right.
Like, so starting off realistic. Uh,
Absolutely. I think that's a great tip. And hey, hi, good morning to Blooming Candle, I think it said. I'm just wanting to welcome everyone who's joining us. But I think that's such a good one. And it actually really ties in well with one of the questions or the answers that I had to my question yesterday on IG, whatever thing is, stories. What stops you from keeping your fitness routine? And
yeah.
someone had said health stops her because it's hard coming back after having to take a long break for health reasons. So, kind of like you're saying, those little wins, it sounds like a good stepping stone back into it. Do you have any more comments on that, like specifically for health reasons that someone might take a break?
And to be honest, like it kind of really would end up tying back into what I said, is literally just taking it really, really small.
Mm-hmm.
That really would just mainly be it. Starting super small, because yeah, hold on, I have to be careful because I'll go back into it. But yeah, starting small, taking it really easy on yourself, being really gentle with yourself, and having grace on yourself more than anyone, really. A lot of times we have so much
Right.
grace on, and then we like beat ourselves like to a pulp. And so, yeah, having grace on yourself.
You're absolutely right. And I actually just was talking about that in my earlier live called Thrive Circle, which is basically a little mini coaching and meditation session every Friday morning. But I was talking about having grace for myself instead of saying, oh, I'm so behind on emails, saying, I haven't done all the emails that I'd like to today, but I'm going to take time and make that a priority later on. And
Yeah.
showing that grace. And now we're just inserting it into fitness. So, what else do you have for us in terms of fitness tips?
Yes, yes. So the second one would be to be mindful that what you put in your body is as important, if not more important, than going and running 10 miles a day. A lot of people will go to the gym and they'll work super, super hard. And I am very guilty of this. So don't even hold me to it too much. But so it's very easy to go to the gym, work super hard, and then come home and be like, okay, I earned this like double chalupa. So, okay, but you're completely defeating what you did. So, and also it's not even so much what you eat every single time, but the portion size. And I
Right.
this is the part, and I see somebody is on here, if she's still on here, one of my old coworkers who knows the quantity of food that I can eat. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. It's to the point sometimes where I've gotten a lot better now, but where I would almost like really make my stomach hurt, which
Oh.
is too ridiculous. I absolutely love food. And so I really had to work on that and slow down with my eating and just take my time so that it could digest the food rather than just shoving it all down and then having a stomach ache. But
Hmm.
more so, just being mindful of what you're putting in your body. My mom always used to say, if there's like, my favorite thing is mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese. And so at dinner time, she would be like, she'd put mac and cheese on my plate, broccoli, and some kind of meat or whatever. And she'd like take a bite of each one as you go around, rather
Mm.
than going straight for the mac and cheese and then like
Mm.
stuffing yourself with that. Like just take a little bit of each one and allow the broccoli to fill you up as well. Allow the other things to fill you up as well. So yeah, just being mindful of what you put in your body and the quantity of how much you put in your body.
Yes, absolutely. And I see a comment, one of our viewers agrees portion control can be a struggle. And I it is. And I think it's such a great practice to be really, really mindful, like you're saying, seeing how the broccoli fills in your belly before you just dive into the mac and cheese, but also noticing how different does my next workout feel if I've gone from going hard, doing cardio to eating too much mac and cheese to then trying to do some yoga the next day. Does that affect your motivation? And just being aware of it can change your motivation, change the way that you're making those choices day to day, right? Yeah, we definitely want to make an emphasis on overall wellness, like one of our viewers is commenting for sure.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah. So go ahead to your last tip and then I'll throw some more new challenges your way.
Cool. All right. So last tip is to find something like when you're starting a wellness plan, find something you actually enjoy. A lot of
Yeah.
people will start working out and they're like, okay, I'm going to go run, I'm going to go lift weights, I'm going to go, and those are all things that they just happen to not like. Some people love lifting weights, some people love running, and then those people will be like, I'm going to go cycle, and something that's completely out of your fun zone and out of anything that you would normally do. I literally gravitated towards yoga because it was something that was gentle and it was almost
Mm,
artistic in a way. And so, especially at that point in my life where I really needed something that I genuinely enjoyed,
hmm.
but also that helped me move. So that's why
Yeah.
it's not a shameless plug to do yoga only, but that that you actually enjoy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know, like for me personally, I do not like boot camps. When I hear boot,
Hmm.
I think you're going to be in pain, you're going to be unhappy, you're going to be like stressed and pushed, and I should say pushed in a good way. But personally, I don't recognize boot camp. I think of like a camp that is like not good, very unfun. Whereas
Yeah.
cycling, I hear party on a bike. I hear, oh, I'm seated. I hear that I'm not jumping up and down, and my joints are going to be pretty happy. So that's
Right.
it's more encouraging. Even though when I go to cycling, I come out drenched, and I'm
Hmm.
for the whole the whole nine. But at least I can get there. I can get
Right.
past the thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. I relate to that, but with running. And it's like not every run feels great,
Mhm.
but sometimes I have a run that leaves me feeling really strong and really free and like I've accomplished something great. And that's what makes it worth it, right? But the discipline that I have for my mind as I'm taking each step and thinking, I don't know if I can finish these miles that I set out to do, it's the after effect. It's something that comes after that that makes it all worthwhile. But I love to balance my running. I feel like running for me is only sustainable because I also do yoga. It's like my body needs that slow down, meditate, stretch all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I think you mentioned to me the other day, like pounding the pavement is really, it really takes a toll on your body, right? So that's why I'm excited to learn more from you with yoga and how it can balance my wellness and how we can all sort of find a yoga practice that complements what else we're doing. So that's really exciting. So, what would you say to someone? This was really funny. I had posed the question, what stops you from keeping your fitness routine? And his response was, me, just me. What's your reaction?
The first, I mean, honestly, and I'm not like a master at all this, but no, the first thing that I would think of is if you are the only one stopping you,
Hmm.
if you have a friend that would be like, or that feels like the same way. Maybe they are just stopping themselves, and maybe you guys need to do it together or hold each other accountable. Or I know my best friend, of my best friend, kind of, yeah, my best friend and my fiance. One person, I mean, say, my fiance, he actually does something with his best friend. Um,
Uh,
they, even though his best friend is in a completely different state across the country, it's through their Apple Watch, and they do like steps and like so many steps a day. And when I tell you, it didn't matter what time it was. He had to take Thor for a walk to go around the block a couple times to get his steps. He did it because they had that accountability together, and it became like a challenge, or it was a challenge, for them. And
hmm.
neither one of them was going to back down. So, neither one of them was not going to be the one to not report in. So
Yeah.
if you are the one stopping you, maybe try bringing someone else in. Um, that would be my initial thought.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such great wisdom. And I know that works for me. So, like I mentioned, my sisters and my mom and I, since the pandemic started, we've been missing getting together. So, we get on Zoom a couple times a week and do yoga together. And that's where we got familiar with your videos and just kind of fell in love with what you're doing and who you are. And we were like, maybe we can get her to join us for a workshop because it's just like you said. And sorry if you hear the firefighters outside my window. There's
Okay.
no fire, I promise. They're doing drills or something, but that was a loud horn. But yeah, finding some partnership. And I think that that is a great way to hold yourself accountable, but it's also just a great motivator because I know for me, I'm very relationship oriented. So while I may not get out and run for myself, if I promise someone that I would meet them to run, I'm absolutely going to do it. So
Yeah.
it's just that simple sometimes, and it can be the thing that gets you out of your own way, like this one responder said.
Yeah.
So, one thing that came up a couple different times with our viewers was childcare. Kids get in the way of people keeping their fitness routine. And to my knowledge, you don't have kids currently.
Oh, that's this.
Yeah, that's me. I've got a 9-month-old baby, and I've actually worked in childcare over the years in many different capacities. So I've tried to do my own fitness routine with other people's kids climbing all over me too. And so one of the things that I really have found useful is finding workouts that fit with the kids. Like instead of fighting the kids' desires and the kids' flow, of their day, finding something that fits with them. So some kids are really interested in yoga and like they see me doing yoga and they're like, oh, let me do it too. And so I roll out a mat for them and we do it together. And then other kids, it's like they've got to be moving, they've got to be jumping around. So maybe we find a YouTube video with some cardio. But my favorite thing, because it's easy right now, is to run with my daughter in the stroller. And she loves it. She falls asleep and she gets some fresh air. It's ideal. It's a little harder for me to push 20 pounds in the stroller as opposed to running free, but it works, finding whatever way to make it work. But there are other things that we can talk about in terms of like scheduling and being supported by the people in our community, like our partners or our neighbors, to do a little bit of childcare, or maybe it's getting up just one day out of the whole week a little bit earlier to fit in that 10 minutes of yoga, like you said. Like, I'm not asking everybody to get up at 4 a.m. to do a full workout, but just just 10 minutes earlier. And there are different ways. One of our viewers is saying that her girls will climb on her during yoga. My daughter does that too, and she pulls my hair for some reason. That's just her favorite thing to do when I'm doing yoga. Um, but finding ways to incorporate the kids in what you're doing can be a great way to do it, or finding little pockets of time when they're not around, either sleeping or entertained by someone else. And you can make it happen just little bits at a time, like you were saying.
Yep, yep. The only thing I could say, I guess, for that is I have a dog, and
You do.
he goes outside like he is right now. So that's about as close as childcare as I could get.
Yeah,
And normally,
that that works. That's close enough. And yeah, one of our viewers is saying that they work out at 5:30 a.m. while everyone is asleep. That's like my favorite thing. Get
yeah,
up and do it before anyone wakes up. A couple other challenges, and I think we'll wrap up after that. Someone mentioned weather or space get in the way of her fitness routine. So
that,
there's some creative ways we can address that too. What do you think?
yeah, that is honestly, that's a really good one. It does like put a thought in my mind because, for one, I will say, I don't know if I make it seem like the space that I'm in is large, but this is a regular bedroom that is really tight, especially when you start including a whole bunch of fake plants and all that kind of thing. Um, I don't know. I sometimes on my camera, I may make it seem as though I have a lot of space because I have a wide angle lens, but there really is not a lot of space. So when it comes to space, that's one thing I guess that I do enjoy about yoga. And there are a lot of practices where you can really just stay within the confines of your mat. So depending on what you're actually doing, you can really just stay on your mat.
Hmm.
As far as space, I can also think of when I go to or I just actually canceled my gym membership the other day. But nonetheless, just because I don't need it right now. But
Yeah.
gym, there were a ton of times where people weren't actually in a lot of those empty rooms that
Hmm.
were used, maybe for like a couple hours out of the day at different times. So just looking at a gym schedule, if you have a gym that you go to, and seeing when they aren't hosting classes in there. I know when I was in LA Fitness back in Atlanta, I would go in that room all the time simply because I didn't want to do yoga out on the floor with
Hmm.
so I would go in that room, and it really is like that room pretty much to yourself. If anyone else is in there, they're usually in a corner, not trying to be seen as well. So
Right.
nobody's really paying attention. Nobody cares as much as we think that they do. They don't. So as
Yeah.
far as space, using that kind of space would be my thing. As far as weather, when I think of weather, I mean that's if you're working out outside. So
Hmm.
that would be tricky to me because I see people like where I am, I'm like on the street, kind of, I can see straight out to the street. So oftentimes I do see people running in the rain. And so I kind of almost want to say, well, how much do you want it?
Right.
I mean, or take it inside. I mean, you don't have to be outside, but sometimes I'll see them running when it's sprinkling. Um, that would be a question kind of directed towards you. Like, what do you think on that? That is a tricky.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, if it's just sprinkling, I will run and I will love it. And it feels great because it's like, oh, I don't have to sweat so much. My body's getting this cool down from the rain. But not everybody's into that. And maybe you need to keep your hair nice or something so you're not going to run in the rain. But I think there's almost always a time of day when it's not raining. Even on rainy days, it takes a break. So if you really want to fit in a jog or some kind of outdoor activity, just look at the forecast. It can tell you pretty accurately. And if you don't want to risk going 5 miles out, just run around the block. You can still make your goal and then run inside real quick if it starts sprinkling. So I think your question, how bad do you want it, is a really good one to address this issue.
Into what I said, of course, because I would be lying if I didn't say one of the reasons I love doing yoga indoors is because of that controlled environment. Where
Yeah.
wedding will be indoors is because of the controlled environment. That way I really have no excuses. But for those that do enjoy outdoors, you got the tips.
But I also really encourage people to be flexible with their fitness plan. So, like, one of the things that I'm offering with the workshop that we're doing is a year-long fitness plan that's adjustable. It's in a spreadsheet. And so, if, for example, it's raining today, switch to doing yoga today and run tomorrow. It's rare that most people, you know, at least in the Midwest where we are, don't live in a situation where it's downpouring every single day for weeks on end. But be flexible with the type of, you know, routines that you're doing. Or maybe like in my building, I live in an apartment building, I can run up and down the stairs in order to get that cardio in if it's really just terrible outside. Or I can do jump rope instead of running. But being flexible and having different workouts in your bag, so to speak, that you can pull out as needed to keep you on track. That's another way to show your commitment and make it happen even when the weather's not cooperating with you. So there's probably a way, even if it's like a YouTube video for a HIIT workout that you've never tried before, but you just need to get your cardio in to stay on track. But another thing is it's okay to take a break. Like we had a couple of really, really cold weeks here in Chicago last month, and it was like devastating to me because I just couldn't find any way to get outside because it was bitter cold and there were mountains of snow. And so I just took a break. I took a week off, and that was okay. But the design that I have for this fitness plan for the year is such that I can just change the date in that cell on the spreadsheet, and then all of a sudden we've skipped ahead, and be okay with that, right? Like it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah,
Breaks are reasonable.
they are needed and required. And I'm super huge on being graceful with yourself, and especially when it comes to rest. I am not an advocate for burnout. Like, I don't think that's cute, and I don't think it's notable. Like, I know some people are like, yeah, I worked so hard and I'm just completely burnt out. And then people are like, good job. And I'm like, no, rest yourself. Applaud for that. You know, like it's good to rest. Like that's how I'm most productive, is when I rest. That means when I wake up, I'm literally about to kill it. Like I'm
Yeah.
really go hard, and I'm gonna get more done because I'm awake and I'm healthy and vibrant and well. So
Hmm.
yeah, be having grace on yourself and knowing that rest is completely fine. So
Yeah. So we're back around to the beginning where we started, right? Having grace for ourselves. And that's a beautiful place for us to stop. But I do want to just invite everyone to join us. We're having a workshop on this topic. It's called Enhancing Your Fitness Routine. It's going to be April 10th at 10 a.m. Central Time. And again, I'm Rebecca. I'm a wellness coach based in Chicago, and Ariana is also in the Midwest. And we're excited to work with you and get your fitness stuff in order for this spring and this summer. It's going to be great. Thanks
yeah,
for joining us.
yes, yes. And that person said I needed to hear that. Yeah, we often do need to hear that. Of course, my fiance would comment.
That's great. Hi, Michaela. Okay, it's great to see everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
You're so welcome. Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I
Thank
started.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.